Hi, hi everyone. Yeah, topic of today is going to be a few things, a few different topics, and obviously title of the message. So yeah, to start with, I'm just going to be talking about something that's happened in the UK from 2023. They have they brought out a bit of legislation for online bullying and harassment, and I do wonder how far, like how much that would reach. Because when you're talking about online, you're talking about it as a whole, and we know that it doesn't just belong in one country, but the internet is in lots of different countries. So I'm just curious how that would affect other countries to hear. I'm just trying to find it online so we can have a little chat about it. Um, but that bit, yeah, basically it's more of this identity politics. You know, my group, I'm a LGB, or I'm a Christian, or I'm um, a black person, or I'm a white person, or I'm an Asian person. I can't have people that are not of my nation, of my group, um, laugh about stuff that we find funny, or use words, or so forth. It's just, or just that even this person is allowed to say these things. It's almost like a right to speak, which obviously infringes upon your freedom of speech. So I'm just going to try and find it online. Bullying Act 2023. And what we've noticed in the UK since last year is that these offences, or supposedly people that are breaking this legislation, um, like some of it would have been before it actually came out. Uh, they're getting long sentences. They're getting longer than somebody that's committing some of the most horrendous crimes within our society. You know, they get slapped on the wrist, and yet they're distributing all of these crimes. Okay, so yeah, just looking at it, you've got children risk assessment duties, safety duties protecting children, safety protection children, interpretation, scope of duties of care. So, but then who would that then fall? Who would the duty of care then fall onto? Because the courts have already established that the police are not the dictators, or the ones in charge of whether or not, or like whether or not the police are responsible for your duty of care. Because when you're talking about children, in especially talking about parental rights, and this was something that um, that I think it's Jordan Peterson or somebody's also mentioning that in California, parents are losing their parental rights as parental guardians. That these things have been stripped from from us. And a lot of this, yeah, it's all under our noses. It's all behind closed doors, and it's already been done. Like, and so now you have to respond to it. It's been the overstepping, the overreach of the government, and its tyrannical ways. And that's why that's why in America they put in amendments. Well, they put in amendments to try and give the people some freedoms, because they know that the government can overreach, just like the church could overreach. Um, it's happened throughout all of history. Mosques can overreach. Um, the science community, like, okay. So key definitions: user to user service, search device and search device, regulated services, disapplication of act to certain parts of service. So yeah, a lot of this is duty of care, children's assessment, no, it's a children's access assessment. Duties about children's access assessment, meaning of likely to be accessed by children. Yeah, and it's, so the accessibility, there's something that they have been working on. Um, but a lot of that would then fall down to, well, how do we know who this person is? So in order for you to access it, you need to identify. Even though when you go onto a computer, whether it be um, your profile, you're already given out information. Well, I don't know. I don't know for certain, but you already have information that's tied to that, that's specifically for you. But it also falls down to the parents. This is down to the like what the parents are allowing the children to see, but also that the government is also producing a lot of this worldly music, a lot of this worldly stuff. There's just sending people crazy. Um, as we're getting nearer to the end. So have a look. I'll have a little look more at this safety bill. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but it means you can look at this yourself. Um, so yeah, there's a whole thing that codes of practice about duties, principles, objections, content, objectives. Sorry, not objections. Objectives. So what are your objectives as a child other than development? Um, and the avoidance of harmful content, because I think it has been shown that the people that watch harmful content, that enjoy seeing those types of things, um, are inclined to then go and do that themselves. Um, this is why we're against pornographic images, we're against violence, um, gambling, addictions, just yeah, it's just unfruitful. Uh, so Ofcom guidance about certain duties. Ofcoms. It sounds like an organization is willing to be in control, perhaps. It's got legal content. Primary proprietary content that is harmful for children. But then it's just gonna go so politically correctness on like transparency, accountability, and freedom of expression. Well, okay, this is interesting. So, all right, duties not to act against the user except in accordance with terms of service. So if so, but if it so if it goes against the user, but it's in line with terms of service, it can be permitted. Further duties about terms of further duties about terms of service. Ofcom guidance about duties set out in section 7172. And then interpretation of this chapter. Diseased child users. Disclosure of information about use of service by diseased child users. So again, it's identifying and track and trace disease. Does that mean disability? Diseased with spike protein, disease with something passed down hereditary. The list goes on. Duties to provide regulated duties of providers of regulated services. Fees. Duty to pay fees. Regulation by Ofcom about qualifying worldwide revenue, etc. Threshold figures. Secretary of State guidance about fees statements, initial recovery of Ofcom initial costs, meaning of charging year and initial charging year. So, so there's like a debt. we've incurred a debt. Because it needs taxation, it needs its own cash cow. General duties of Ofcom under Section 3 of the Communications Act. Duties in relation to strategic priorities, duties to carry out important assessments, register of categories of regulated user-to-user services, and regulate search service. Regulated search service. So, as a lot of us are aware already, when you're trying to look for information specifically anywhere, you're bombarded with AI trying to tell you other stuff that has nothing to do with your general search, but somehow in your analytics, it's just going to harass you with stuff that you just don't want to see. More of a reason to get off the internet. Right, power to require information. Information powers, and information notices information in connection with an investigation into the death of a child. I'm going to come back to that. Information notices. Requirement to name a senior manager. Skilled persons reports. Reports by skilled persons. So we're going down that are you qualified route. And they will tell you whether or not you're qualified if you've taken their recent courses and not from pre-existing training and qualifications in those fields. Power to require interviews, investigations, power of entry, inspection, and audit. Of entry, yeah. So it is remote because we have chat and we can do investigations, we can do interviews. Amendment of Criminal Justice Act, the Criminal Justice and Police Act of 2001. Cooperation and disclosure of information, overseas regulators, disclosure of information, intelligence service information, provisions of information of the Secretary of State, amendment of Enterprise Act of 2002. So amendments here and there in order for these things to work. Things that once helped you is now not valid. Notice to deal with terrorism content, or CSEA content, or both. So you've got terrorism content or CC, so C and then SEA. 33. Requirement to obtain skilled persons report, warning notice, matters relevant to a decision to give notice under section 121. So we've got enforcement powers. This is more the important stuff. Provisional notice of contravention. Contravention. Doesn't that sound like what the government does to send you off to war? Similar to that word. Requirements enforceable by Ofcom against provider of regulated services. Confirmation decisions required to take steps, confirmation decisions, risk assessment, confirmation decision, child access assessment, proactive technology. Again, well, like in order for the bullying, in order for us to keep the peace amongst the groups that are fighting, that have strong differences. I've lost what I was going to say. Yeah, we need proactive technologies. We need technologies that are going to give us the relevant information of you obeying. Penalties, offences. So they're gonna tell you what the offences are. Penalties for failure to comply with confirmation decision. Penalty for failure to comply with notice under section 121. Non-payment of fee. Information to be included in notices under section amount of penalties, the amount of penalties, service restriction orders, access restriction orders. So they'll ban you. You're banned. Your service restriction orders, access restriction orders, interment, and no, interim access restriction orders. I've spoken about a lot of things already within this, and obviously I'm just glazing over much of this. By all means, if it's stuff that I'm not drawing enough attention to, please put it in an email, and I'll see if I can fit it in this. Oh, not I'll fit it in this video, but I'll fit it in a video. Okay, age assurance. What? Okay, committees, research and reports. This is the first time I've read this. Like I posted that video, which maybe some of you have seen. Should still be on my community guidelines. Okay. Advisory Committee on Disinformation and Misinformation. Disinformation and disinformation is that you're telling lies. Misinformation, we don't know if you're lying, but we don't believe. We believe that what you're saying is missing the mark. Or you got one option is you're lying, or the other option is you're intentionally making the information fit your narrative. Misinformation, which again, the burden of proof is on the accuser. Like the burden of proof. Yeah, I think that's how I want to articulate it. I digress. Statements about freedom of expression and privacy. So wait, statement about freedom of expression and privacy. Ofcoms. So even this discussion, has to be within the regulations of Ofcom. Comms. Transparency reports, report about use of age assurance, reports about use of age assurance. The use of age. Reports about news, publishers' content, and journalists' content. And that was the important part of the video, if you watched it, was that in writing we have what we already know. The media can lie on TV, and it's okay. Like, you know, like, they're allowed to, which is wrong, which is abomination. But we have it in writing now. Before it was like, yeah, we know they do these things, but like, who's going to hold them accountable? And that's also again with this. It's like, we know they do these things. Who's gonna like this crony democracy? No, crony capitalism, which is like, it's just, it's what they want it to be. Like, slowly, it has to first pique the interest of the people. Like, we feel as though we've been taken care of, and now tax money's going places and doing things. But I think after actually looking at legislation and looking at what's been put in place and what's happened as a consequence, do you see that it's just a show? Just like this video is a show with me on the stage. Media literacy, right? Appeals and super complaints, because a complaint just isn't enough. It's super. Secretary of State functions in relation to regulate services. In relation to regulate services. So, statement of strategic priorities. Communications. So, communication offences, false and threatening communications offences. False communication offences. It's like, the media is telling you, we can break the law, and if we don't if we suspect you, if we we don't like you, or that we know that you're telling lies, it's over for you. And that's 2023. So yeah, protection of these identity groups and their ideologies, and then censorship of medical misinformation. What they say, medical misinformation and disinformation. And yet, Fauci was the one, I think it was on the stage, saying, well, as time goes on, we're we're going to have all this data collected, more information, more understanding. As you know, people are being affected, people are then receiving the vaccine, consequences then of the vaccine, how that deals then with the virus, and move on from that data collected to have an understanding. And I think I've seen a video just today how the number of deaths, the figures have changed as the official, I won't say official, but the main health organization put out statistics, and they basically had to reproduce those same numbers, and when they're corresponded with other health departments or how like people that deal with the research and so forth, the numbers don't add up. Significantly less deaths being recorded for the year 2023, and yet the figures that have been quoted from other officials are significantly more. And so the number they had originally was grossly inadequate. Like you're talking tens of thousands of people, maybe like not being accounted for, to then be reduced again, and then when that's put with other people's figures, it just leaves a big question mark as to what's going on. Is this a political thing? Everything's become political these days, about the numbers, because obviously a lot of it is a reflection upon the failings of the government, and they need your vote. They apparently, like, I don't vote. I don't do all of that. I don't remember, but that ignorance is not, like, I don't even think that's accept, like, even it's not that I don't want to know. I do, but I don't want to be involved, and I also don't want to know, like, I just want to know if things are being done fairly, and in a democracy way, where people vote, and people get voted out. But obviously there's some sinister people at the top that are just trickling down this mess. So PC police run amok. Political correctness runs amok instead of cleaning up house. And so they're just, you can't say this, can't say that. Well, the culture's changed, and yet people are still stuck in their worldviews that's been given to them by the CIA, or like majority of them have, and are willing to accept it. And so I'm losing my train of thought. This is why I wrote notes, because I like to go on tangents. Peace, yeah, and we've noticed this, like comedians losing their jobs because they said a gay joke one time. You've got politicians um, being asked to apologize because they were talking about actually they were talking talking about that like other parties' failings within like the movements that they try their agendas, and, and because yeah, because somebody's offended, we've got like we've got to be asking people for apologies. We've got to be um, punishing uh, for the words that we use. I like with yeah, with free speech, there is like people know, or anybody that's an advocate for free speech, is that there are things that you cannot do within that realm, within that. Um, well, yeah, with your voice, it's power. It is powerful. It can change minds, and that's obviously why there's the danger of AI. Um, and so we know not to incite violence. We can hate something. I can hate the devil. I can hate sin. I can hate my flesh. I can hate myself. Um, I can hate you and still love you. Like, but it's when it's no, I hate you and you need to die. You know, it's that extra step. It's that well, no, I'm not not here for like yeah, for nothing but blood and a, appeasing of my flesh, as I would see it. Uh, pleasing. So and so from the vaccine alone, what they're doing is preventing conversations about the changes, about the state of the state of the human condition currently. Um, like my audience, um, I don't know how to say that, but that basically we're basically that from the vaccine, they've made promises. They said, yeah, look, we've we know what we're doing. You know, we know about SARS. We know like we're gonna help the immune system. We're gonna build a wall. Is some of the language that I've heard. Build a wall of resilience. You know, and a lot of that 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 conversations that seems as though we're doing things and um, and we're taking care of it. Although it's a scary event. Um, as long as we'll get into this goalpost, everything should soon sort itself out. And this is like the crazy train that we've been riding since Brexit. So like yeah, the only thing that's coming back is Jesus. Amen. um, and that from looking at the studies that are that well, I've not looked at them from hearing of people that have looked at studies, because I really like just tune into a few individuals talking on these subjects that the vaccine was the first approach. The vaccine was the only approach, like how they were gonna take care of the virus and eliminate it. No ifs, buts about it. And following from what they've said is going to be so they've gone with the vaccines, they've gone with the plan of to vaccinate the population. You know, these spike proteins are going to last for a little while. The mRNAs only going to last for so long, and they're gonna deal with the virus, and that's going to prevent deaths. But from the studies that, like, I don't really need to tell you about because I'm sure a lot of you have already heard, they're producing white blood clots, and adverse effects from the spike proteins, that because it's a synthetically produced I think they called it like a synthetically produced virus, but I think that's the bacteria. I could be wrong. That it's staying in the system for much longer than it's needed, but and also that it's targeting areas that it shouldn't be. That is spreading throughout the body, and it's shredding. And the materials that it's shredding is known to be toxic. Well, I say toxic. It's known to be venomous, which is basically known throughout, like, any animal that contains venom. So, and then the back end of that of oh, and I'm sorry, and it's also damaging the T cells. So the T cells of what are your immunity. Yeah, your T cells have, as you grow older, and you've fought against different diseases and things throughout your life, it's like I don't know, it's like a soldier's jacket where he's got all of the stars, out of all the different things, all the battles that he's fought, and what this spike protein does is it basically disrupts that, and yeah, from my understanding, it's not very good for the immune system. So the immune system is going to be attacked by this new SARS virus. So we're going to give you spike proteins, and spike protein is also known for inflammation. Like that's like another known term for the spike protein, and I think it's like, yeah, you got the spike protein, but you've also got the two parts within, like, the mucus glands, the stuff that's in the lungs, the stuff that's in the brain and nose. And there's also something that they've been working on, or studies to show about some vagus nerve, that people, because of people's pains and sufferings from the long COVID, people are experiencing just the worst kinds of experiences that the human body could practically go through. And I wish I was exaggerating as I'm saying that, but after hearing people's accounts, they've been through hell and still going through hell. Because of what the government has said, because the government's been said, like, we got you, just take our drugs, take five doses of our drug that's going to stay in your system 4 months, and we won't compensate any side effects. But a few cases have gone to high court. Okay, war. No. So yeah, so there's still the issue of the SARS-2 virus, because well, if you watch the video that I'm about to upload, that'll give you a bit of information on the virus and how it operates. But there's still lots to be learned and discovered, if we're allowed to, like, because now this censorship bills come into place, and how much they've, like, were beating us down just for, like, yeah, for talking about the situation that we're facing. So yeah, funds being cancelled. That's a note I put in here. Like, as all of these, like, these things are going on, you've got this situation where it's bad, which the government have allowed to happen, and forgetting why each nation is separate, why this is United Kingdom and you're Jamaica, or you're Africa, because we have rules over here, like, and I don't know about your rules over there, but yeah, it's just the rules that were there were once here to help your independence within democracy in order to be a working part of society. Those dreams have just been just some carrot on a stick that they've led you with, and yeah, it because it's just news and news about this sad situation, that sad situation, this happened to me, that happened to you, or like this is now a consequence because of the failings of the government, that, like, it's just brushing off on us. The more that we're absorbing all of this garbage about how we're supposed to view one another, and and how we're supposed to treat each other. But a lot of this is common knowledge. It was like we say like yeah, it's just common sense, but it's common sense. It's stupid. And this kind of brings me to 1984. How long we got? Yeah. Obviously, I I know of 1984, or like Orwell's book. Not really. Like to some extent, like it just makes me think of Animal Farm, if I'm to be honest. Because Animal Farm, I know more I know more. Like I've heard the story, um, and obviously in 1984 over in United Kingdom they had the miners' strike, um, and I believe it was a really hot summer that year. That like I've probably heard of it, but never really looked into it properly to understand how bad it was, because you had the picket lines, which a lot of what happened in that time, I I, ca- I I'm confused, because it was about the miners' strike, miners losing their jobs, but also about the work the way that workers are being treated. Um, and so they formed unions, and tried to go against the beast. The beast has got all the cards, so he's just going to put his thumb down. He's going to just play them all, um, and we just have to face the consequences. And so you had picket lines. You had people that were going to work, people that were harassing the people that were going to work, and then people prevented from working. And this is something that went over into other parts of society, fire stations, schools. It also went to hospitals. And during that year, the United Kingdom also released um, an act. It's called the Missing Child Act of 1984. Child Abduction of 1984. That also came out on that year. And then we got the Child Act before that, so I guess it was like an amendment from the 89. And then when you go and look for these, so you go and have a look to see, well, what's the statistics of children missing for that year, or children missing now? Like a lot of that information is not being collected. There was a FOIA. There's a company that deal with FOIA requests with the government in order to get this information to people, because the government are not really willing to help. I'll just see if I've got a picture of any of it to read from. Yeah, here we go. Freedom of Information request number such and such. I'm writing in connection with your request for information, which was received. By the Metropolitan Police Service. I note you seek access to the following information. Could you please provide a list of any missing believed abducted children from 1955 until 1984, both sexes, was the request. To locate the information relevant to the request, searches were conducted within the MPs. The searches located information relevant to your request decision. To have full decision, I have today decided to disclose the located information to you in full. Please note that we don't have specific search field to easily identify. Missing believed abducted cases, we have to read through a free text field to see if this is what is believed to have happened. There is currently one missing believed abducted child case that remains unsolved, open. That is 1979. Any historical cases of missing believed abducted children that has been solved closed are not recorded on a searchable database. So it gets closed, and yet nothing gets closed. Like even if your record is spent, it's still there. Like we just don't have that information. Should you have any further concerns this matter, please contact, and then gives email. So one case from 1955 to 1984. That's somebody's turned the power off. That's just crazy, absolutely crazy. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the 1989. Okay, offence of abduction of child by parent. Abduction, offence of abduction by child by other person. Construction or reference of taking, sending, detaining, penalties and prosecutions, restriction on prosecution for offence of kidnapping. Offence under law of Scotland. So Scotland's got their own law on it. Powers of arrest, penalties and proof and admissible of certain documents, evidence, supplementaries. So what was the amendment for 1984, I wonder? It's basically the same. It's just it practically looks the same. It may have a few differences of that are clearly of some importance. And so yeah, we're back to today. We're back to the here and now. Right? So yeah, it's just mad, and that yeah, like as far as long as we feel think that we've come, supposedly as nations, or as the dominant species, that yeah, a lot of our boastings is just stuff that's been given to us, and not of the work that we're doing ourselves, or that we think that everything, is as it should be. We put a law in place and we change some things, but yes, it's obvious. Oh, what the agenda is, to distract from the previous failings, and um, and that free market is a dangerous word. Is um, and I think that's what's caused a lot of this. But we know that it's also God's behind a lot of this, and as it is in heaven, uh, there will be done on earth as it is in heaven, for sure. Thank you all for joining.